Hey guys, it's Philip Acklin. You are watching Motorsport Radio.
Now.
This is Motorsport Radio. Join the conversation and have your say on motorsport-radio.com. Motorsport Radio. The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Yay! Welcome to the Superbike Show. My name is Lester. We are definitely live right now all over the internet. Can you hear me okay? Good, because on tonight's show we have got lots of great stuff, including interviews with Iain Hopcroft, the Moto Rapido Ducati BSB team owner. He is coming up next, followed by some BSB and World Superbike team news later, and then we've got Julian Rider coming on for a chat. He's going to be live on tonight's show, and Chandler Warren Gray also on tonight's show as well. And joining me right now, as ever, it is, please welcome with a brand new microphone as well, it is Kiko Alexander Giles. Hello, Kiko.
Hello.
How are you?
Great to be back on the show.
Yes, great to have you back. The reason we're talking so fast is because we are literally really looking forward to having some contacts on the show, and the first guest who we'll get on in a couple of minutes' time is Iain Hopcroft. Now, for those who don't know about Iain Hopcroft, tell us, Kiko, who is Iain Hopcroft?
Iain Hopcroft is the team manager for Moto Rapido Ducati, which runs John Hopkins in the Superbike class, and it runs Thomas Strudwick in the Motorstar class. It also has a little bit to do with Cool Fab Racing, and I'm going to leave it there as far as Cool Fab Racing is concerned, because I'm going to talk more about that with them later.
Ah, yes. So if you are someone who's been waiting for this interview that we're about to do in just a few moments' time, also we want to know, incidentally, just before we get on to doing the interviews in a couple of minutes' time, can you actually hear me okay? Am I coming through loud and clear? Because I literally don't know. Let me know. Sound sorted, said Tony Shorthouse. Christian Hoare says, all sorted. Nice one, lads. Excellent. I knew what the problem was. It was Kiko jinxing me, basically.
Well, this is it. I'm always a massive problem wherever I go.
He literally said minutes before we went on air, we've never been so well prepared for this show. And I'm like, you've done it now, Kiko. Thank you.
But,
so we will
someone said that we sound like Norman Collier. So
what? Explain.
I don't know. Grant Vickers on Twitter sent me that one, so thank you. But at least we can joke about it. We are here, we are back, and let's hope that our sound stays just perfect, you know. I mean, I know we've got a northern accent to deal with, but bear with.
Yeah, and apologies once again for Kiko.
We are.
For that. Right, so on to Iain Hopcroft then. We will grab him on the phone. Hopefully he will answer again, because we've not even tested this. So this is going to be pretty well. Iain Hopcroft, as Kiko said, the Moto Rapido Ducati team boss in BSB for how many seasons has he been knocking around now?
I believe 2012 was the year he started with Moto Rapido.
So maybe five seasons or so, yeah?
5 or 6, yeah, it'll be 6 coming up.
And he joins us on the line now. Hello, Iain. Iain Hopcroft. Hello. Good evening. Yes, we can hear you now. Fantastic.
Oh yeah. How's it going?
Don't ask, Iain. It's probably best. Yes, we are live. You're live on Motorsport Radio. It's amazingly good to have you on the show, Iain. Thank
you very much.
And not for the first time as well, because you were actually on our first ever Superbike show 1 year ago as well. So welcome back.
Yeah, I was indeed. Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, but it feels like an age away.
Well, yeah, it feels like a year ago, I suppose. Kiko has a big bag of questions for you, as does our listeners. So take it away, Kiko.
Hello, Iain. Thank you for coming on the show. We have quite a bit to get through. Well, I say quite a bit, the basics, I think, and we're going to ask you some tricky questions towards the end. But 2017, the season has been difficult. Would it be fair to say it's not been ideal, with John Hopkins is not quite getting into the showdown in injuries galore at the start of the season, now unfortunately at the end as well?
So, Iain, can you actually hear Kiko? Iain Hopcroft. Iain? Hello, Iain. Do we still have you? Hello, Iain. Oh, dear. You know what you've done as well, Kiko, don't you?
He's high-sided.
He's high-sided off. No, I still hear he's there on the line. Hello, Iain. Should we call him back?
I think we should.
Call him back. Well, anyway, it's going well tonight. As long as you can hear us, anyway, that's... Why tonight, of all the nights? Anyway, it's not like, we overhyped tonight or anything. It's not like, we sent out tons of tweets or anything like that, is it? It's not... but anyway, yeah, these things happen. Just to prove that we are definitely live, these things do happen. Does he live like in the countryside or something? Does he live like in a fantastic signal area?
I'm not sure.
Hi, Iain. Please leave a message. I'll get.
Well, obviously, see, it wasn't our signal. See,
I think his phone may have gone.
So, yeah,
he will, I'm sure, be in touch with me very shortly. But anyway, we'll talk about a little bit about British Superbikes.
Yes, please
because we have some great news to get through. The first stuff is
them papers. That's well loud, mate. That's I just have to say.
Oh, hello. I have a message from Iain.
He said, "What's going on?"
Apparently went silent when it went to me.
Oh, right, okay.
So, oh dear, we have a turd. So if that's affecting him...
No, yeah, that's fine. Should we call him back and get him on blower, shall we?
Try, yeah.
All right, let's do that. Actually, Kiko, tell us more about what you were going to ask him and tell us how people can get involved in the show as well and ask Iain questions themselves.
Yeah, of course, to prove we are live, like Lester keeps reiterating... you can ask Iain a question yourself. Put it in the comments box if you're on Facebook. Tweet it in to me at MotoGP Kiko or at Iain Hopcroft. And we will relay that question live on air and we will see what Iain says. Now, we're going to ask him, obviously, about John Hopkins and how that season went, as I alluded to just before we lost him. Then we're going to talk about his plans for 2018 away from the team setup as well. I'm going to ask them a little bit more about what they're doing for the younger riders because they have a team in the Motorstar Championship and a team in the Cool Fab Championship, which is the grassroots for British racing. It's where Bradley Ray, Luke Mossey and all of the top riders, Carl Ryder, they've all come through that stepping stone. So to have British Superbike connections from there over to the Superbike paddock itself is very good. Look at Thomas Strudwick. He's in the British Talent Cup. And will we see a bit more progression from Moto Rapido, a bit more support, sponsorship from them as a team to help Thomas on his way? Well, that's a question I hope to ask. But obviously we're still waiting for Iain to get on the line. I think it's more a sound issue again. They come back. But we will persevere with that because the British Superbike news, I can tell you the British Supersport, the Everquick Racing team, will expand to 2 bikes in 2018. I can't say the rider lineup because I don't know the rider lineup yet. I have a feeling with one of them, but not a clue on the second. But that's really exciting news. There's some more news coming out, and this is really big breaking news today, actually, that we're going to have a Junior Supersport Championship in the paddock. For the first time. It's going to be, I think there will be a similar format to the World Superbike paddock with the Supersport 300 and whatnot. So that's really good as well. It's going to replace the KTM RC 390 Cup, which is, I think that'll be a popular move because, the success that Supersport 300 has had over in the World Superbikes can be replicated over to British Superbikes. We also have some rumours about certain teams, and we believe that Luke Hedger will be on a Superstock 1000 bike riding a Suzuki. That's one of the rumours. Again, we will put that out to you. What do you think about that? We don't know what team yet, but it's a rumour that there will be a Suzuki 1000 bike with Luke Hedger's name on it for next season. So what about that for a little rumour? We've also seen that Peter Hickman isn't wasting time with getting his thoughts on 2018 out. He absolutely wants to take this British Superbike Championship fourth, of course, in the championship at the start of the at the end of this season, 2017. It's first time in the showdown as well, off the back of a phenomenal Northwest 200, a fantastic Isle of Man TT, which was 4 second places for him. So 2018 will be, I'm fairly sure, take it all the way to Shane Byrne. Not so sure on that, but he will be up there again, and you'd be a mug to discount Peter Hickman from championship success, yes, but an absolute idiot to say he won't get in the top 6, I think. And now everyone will hold me to that and say, well, you said this last year, and he's not there. So I'm sorry if I've cursed you again, Pete.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for having an extra few words there. Hopefully now, by the way, what I was doing is trying to get Iain Hopcroft back on the line. Iain, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine now.
Epic, thank you. We were debating whether you were in some remote part of the countryside or whether your phone died. But anyway, let's move on.
No, literally as soon as you flicked me to Kiko, it just went a bit silent.
Yeah, people often switch off when Kiko starts talking. Don't worry about that. You're not the first. Anyway, yeah, sorry. I literally forgot what Kiko was asking you. See, it happens to me as well. Don't worry.
Well, let's get back on show, shall we? Let's get back on track. 2017, Iain. Not been amazing. Injuries at the start of the season, injuries at the end. How would you sum up your year with John Hopkins?
Yeah, I mean, every day with John is exciting, He's a crazy character, but it's just unfortunate, the crashes at the beginning and obviously the big crash then that obviously ended up with him being in hospital, which is never good. But we had some good results in between. We've got plenty to work on, definitely over the winter. But apart from the crashes, it's been pretty good. The team is not just John as well. We've had, Thomas Strudwick, who's been amazing in the garage, So when we have been down on results on the Superbike, Thomas has picked us back up and brought us home some silverware, So it's all been pretty good.
Exactly, and it's not been a total disaster, of course. John Hopkins had his own podiums as well. At Silverstone was the first one.
Yeah, at Silverstone, and then again at Alton Park. So we've lifted some silverware in the Superbike category, and we hope to continue that spell of silverware for any coming future.
Absolutely. Some people might think that the bike has been poorly prepared this year because the amount of technical issues, you could say, but it's not been like that. I understand it's been an ECU issue completely out of your control. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean we haven't really had any technical issues this year. We had obviously the only problem we had was at Knock Hill, which was an ECU fault. It's just one of those things, and Sneston. Which dropped a valve. It was just one of those unfortunate things. Bit of over rev on a few laps, and these things happen, But out of all of the other teams and manufacturers, I think we were one of the best out of non-technical failures throughout the season. Most people had engine blow-ups and stuff like that, which we don't seem to suffer with. So we're pretty good on that front, to be honest.
Exactly, and unfortunately for you guys as well, a lot of the ECU problems have been in camera, in the public eye, so it's not been a fair representation where everyone else may have had exactly the same issues that you've had on the exact amount of same times as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's one of those, people generally only watch obviously like the qualifying and the race side of stuff, and unfortunate for us, it happens to happen on those points, where everybody's watching.
Yeah, that is, but it doesn't represent what the team are. But before we go on and more about maybe next year's side of things, how is John Hopkins? Because that was a massive accident he took at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, I mean, crazy accident. John, we picked John up on Friday. Me and Steve Moore, the team owner, picked him up on Friday. He couldn't wait to get out. He's been in there a month, being bedridden for a month is crazy. So, to bust him out of there, first thing he did was, wheeling the wheelchair down the hallway. He's that kind of guy, broken back, 2 broken legs, and he's still rolling it, And that's why he's a monster athlete. You know, he's a complete loon. But you know, he seems in good spirits. He's got some work to do. He's going to get back to the States now, talk to his surgeons and get on a rehab program, you know.
Yeah, I mean, but is there a chance that he can come back to motorcycle racing? It's not going to be a career-ending injury, is it? Oh
God, no. He'll be back fighting fit soon enough. You know, he needs to go back and get some lead times with his surgeons for sure. But this John Hopkins is not out by any stretch of the imagination.
And it'd be a massive loss to British Superbikes if he was to sit a season out or even go elsewhere and do other things. But you're not just in the Superbikes, of course. Talk to us more a little bit about MotoStar. It's been a very successful year for you. Lots of silverware, as you say, for Thomas Strudwick.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fantastic. You know, Wilf's always wanted to try and develop some young talent, and we were very fortunate with Lorne from Case Moto, who came to us with Thomas at the beginning the end of 2016, really, and sort of wanted to create this collaboration and try and push Thomas on a little bit further, you know. And, you know, I'm so glad that we did. Wilf couldn't be happier with it. I couldn't be happier with it. He's gelled with the team. He's progressed so well, you know, and like you say, he's brought him a lot of silverware. We've tried to educate him in the ways of, you know, the garage and the debriefs and setup and media, but he's so good at that kind of stuff anyway. It's sickening for a guy who's, just turned 16 years old. You know, he's amazingly good at it, which is a great credit to him, and you know, awesome for us as well. You know, because he absorbs everything, especially being that kind of age. It's been a really good project. And you can see that the results have paid off, though, because he's gone on to be selected to the British Talent Cup. That's going to be massive to you guys as well. Oh, thank you very much. I mean, you know, Thomas is the one that puts in all the hard work, all the training, you know, all the listening. You know, we can teach him as much as we can, but if he's not willing to listen, he's never going to learn. But he has. He's knuckled down. He's listened to everything. You know, he's listened to Jen from Full Throttle Performance, who works for us. So she does his nutrition plan and does some of his training and, you know, and his physio and everything. You know, we try and get him as good as we can be. And he's just excelled this year. And yeah, to get into the British Talent Cup just shows how hard I think he's worked this year to do that. Yeah, and not just has he gone on to do the great stuff in BSB, and he's also been selected for the British Talent Cup. Will there still be some support for Moto Rapido when he goes on to the British Talent Cup next year? Will you still be able to give him a bit of either help, as in assistance, hands-on stuff, or financial stuff, or whatever, to get to his next goal after the British Talent Cup? Is he like is he your baby that you want to take everywhere? You want to like push him as far as he can go? Yeah, kind of. I mean, you know, we started this project with Thomas, and we'd love to continue it through to wherever it may lead him until he tells us to go away. You know, that kind of thing. But you know, we'd love to see it as far as we can go with him, wherever he wants to take it. You know, wherever next year, the year after takes him. He's part of the team now, so he's not going to leave that easy. Absolutely. And talking of the team, we're going to talk a little bit about 2018 now. There was some rumours going around the paddock there was an expansion project. Is that true, or have you thought about it? Yes. Something I do want to talk to everyone about is for 2018, I've employed a brand manager because we, as Moto Rapido, we are first and foremost a Ducati dealer. And there seems to be sort of some misconnection between us being a Ducati dealer and the race team, and that we're either two separate people or, you know, first and foremost, we are a Ducati dealer. And all the work gets done for the race team, all the preparation work, all the engine building, that kind of stuff is actually done at the Moto Rapido base at Winchester, you know, where the dealership is. So where you would take your bike to have serviced is where John Hopkins' bike and Thomas Strudwick's bike is currently looked after and being prepped and repaired, etc., you know. Exactly, and it's the same people that
prepare the British Superbike, or some of the same people that prepare John Hopkins' British Superbike, that can tune and service the normal road-going public machines as well.
Yeah, that's right. So, we've got all this talent in the workshop. We've got 3 main technicians. All of them have worked on the race bike, either it be in the Superbike, the Moto 3, or the Ducati 959s that we also look after. So we've got a wealth of knowledge within there with regards to race stuff and road stuff. And, my new brand manager is a guy called Chandler Warren Gray, who's going to be trying to make that connection happen between the race team and the workshop, and vice versa for the showroom and everything. Plus, get us more involved in track days and press days and all that kind of stuff. Alongside me and working together.
That's a good signing, you could say, because he's been in the paddock last year, of course, with Suzuki. And actually, I can tell people at home and listening in, he will be on the show later. Chandler Warren Gray will be on, ex-team manager for Bill Bay Suzuki last year, which ran Bradley Ray. But back to Moto Rapido, Ian, will there be a second bike out there next year? I think a lot of people are speculating and wanting to know the answer to that question.
In the Superbike, no. And okay. The simple reason is, with the V4 coming out in 2019, it seemed a bit silly for us to create a second bike with a whole second team, because it's pretty much more than just doubling the size of the team, more mechanics and stuff, to learn about a bike that is only going to be around for the next season before we flip to the V4. We have everything. We have, nothing will transfer in the bodywork, footrest kits, exhaust. Obviously none of that stuff will transfer. Just the bike will be totally different in 2019. So it seemed really non-beneficial for us as a dealer and as a race team, to push the current V-twin Panigale, because we don't sell them anymore as a Panigale R. Which is the bike that we actually race, the 1199 Panigale R. They're not made anymore. So again, it's very difficult to buy one.
Exactly. What's the main characteristics that you're looking for, though? What's the main differences between the V4 and the V-twin that you run now?
Characteristics
that
really, everybody is hunting for horsepower. I think always is, the new V4 is going to be some astonishing out the box beast, 225 horsepower, 26 horsepower, as a road going machine. So by the time that hits the track, Lord only knows. We currently sit around 215 to 220, figures wise for our current V-twin. So this is whole next level horsepower stuff.
That's a very exciting prospect, and I look forward to get into that in 2018, when we'll probably have you back on the show when we talk about next year as well. Talking of next year,
yeah, definitely.
Ryder lineup. It's an obvious question. Is John Hopkins going to stay with your team next season?
We have a plan to go racing as Moto Rapido, but that is as far as we've got, to be honest. Okay. Obviously, John is currently not fit to do anything but wheel himself around in a wheelchair, so can't really comment on that at the moment for John, even John riding, but even for us. But we plan to go racing with one Superbike, and so far supporting Thomas in his British Talent Cup, but that's our plan so far.
Will there be more support for the Cool Fab Championship? Because of course you have your own little setup there running on the Walker.
Yeah, we do. We have a couple of bikes out in the Cool Fab Racing mini series, which we hope to continue with in 2018. And again, with Chandler on board, we hope to have more of a collaboration with that, do more open days, and be able to put a little bit more input into that this year, which we also will do with Pete Extance from Bournemouth Kawasaki, because he also puts a lot of time and effort into that.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's great to have the integration as well between the superbikes and the grassroots of British racing. How important is it to establish that connection between the stars of tomorrow, the young ones, and to the stars of today, such as John Hopkins and yourselves at Moto Rapido?
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely. You know, this is where Thomas came from. Thomas came from the Cool Fab Racing series. You know, he made his move up to the KTM Cup, the Milwaukee Cup, then into the Moto 3, and look where he's got now. You know, he's got an entry into the British Talent Cup. And it's just amazing. We want to promote that. Bradley Ray's done the same. You know, we just want to keep. We've got to keep these kids doing it, and it's very difficult because it's very expensive. So everything that we can do to help. I mean, you know, we can put time and effort in because we don't have, you know, funds to share, but other sponsors love getting involved in that kind of stuff. You know, so you know, when they sponsor us as a team, it's not just about the Superbike. That helps us do all these other projects, you know, that help us help Thomas with the Cool Fab, you know, any of that kind of stuff, you know, which is great.
I'm interested to know your thoughts on the new Junior Supersport Championship that comes in next year. 2018 will see what is effectively a Supersport 300 Championship. Do you think that's another great addition to the paddock, of course, for British Superbikes? But is it another credit and another route that riders may want to take, and especially the young riders, to get to where their goal is, whether that be World Superbikes or MotoGP?
Yeah, definitely, because any of the kids kind of get lost in the middle somewhere. You know, they go from the Cool Fab stuff, and then they can go to KTM and the Moto 3, and some of it is not affordable maybe for them. And the Supersport, I think, will be a nice affordable class and be able to get more people into the sport, you know, just to have that wider range of talent to come in.
Well, some people may say...
I think Mr. Higgs has done a really good job of pulling that together.
He really has. And one thing that people may not know is, as well as the Junior Supersport Championship coming in, the regulations are the same, so it's quite transferable to the World Paddock. But one thing that I want to get your insight and knowledge on, Iain, is that you run a standard class Moto 3 machine. Why would you not be interested in going to the KTMs of Moto 3 and being in the not standard class, competing with the likes of Redline and the KTMs up there?
Well, I mean, for us as a Ducati dealer, the whole non-standard Moto 3 class has no relevance to us. You know, or the standard Moto 3 doesn't really have any relevance to a Ducati dealership. But there's no need to make that step. You know, Thomas has proven that being on a standard bike can be quicker than half the field on non-standard bikes. I just think, for me personally, the standard system is amazing, and if we can push that, get into somewhere like the British Talent Cup, and that then forms us into more Red Bull rookies or into Europe, into the MotoGP paddock, into that scenario, then they can start pushing on to some of the open class stuff. You know, for us as a Ducati dealership, we don't know enough about the open class Moto 3 to get involved into it just yet. You know, we've got enough with wanting to deal with the Superbike and the technicality that goes with that, and the 959s, and then what will be a V4, you know, super stock bike maybe in 2019. You know, all these kind of things is enough to keep us busy without having to get into something that you know, we don't sell it from the shop, you know, so it's also no benefit to Moto Rapido as a dealership.
That's very true, because at the end of the day, the only way you're going to sell bikes is if you prove that they're winners on the circuits. That's what Superbike racing was initially formed to do. On 2018, though, we spoke earlier in the year, and you had wildcards planned in 2017. Would that be another option for 2018, to put your British Superbike rider, whoever that may be, into the Donington Park round of World Superbikes to improve your brand image? I suppose Chandler might be pushing for that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, I think, like I said to you in that interview, it's if we're placed well within the British Championship and we're on good form, then it's a really good thing to do, like Jake did this year. I think it's a really good thing. It's a good ego boost, a good positive step forward with it, really, you know, just to be able to put your nose in there and say, you know, we might just be, you know, a Ducati dealer from Winchester, but we can mix it with these guys. Yeah, we'd love to do that, of course.
Is there much difference?
But like I say, it all depends.
Is there much difference between your bikes and the Paul Bird Motorsport bikes? Because some people might say that the Paul Bird bikes are the factory bikes, but is that the case, or are you and Paul identical?
As we always joke in our team, we love the word factory, because everything to do with Ducati factory is, you know, there's factory parts and we pay for them. Same as Paul Bird does. And our bike is no different than Shakey's, apart from some personal preferences, you know, but okay. Engine specs are the same, the bike is the same. Obviously, we all run on the same tyres. It's just the man sat on the seat that makes the big difference.
Okay, that's very interesting. That will lead people to believe that you know, there is no big factory team, so to speak, because you have the same access to the parts that Paul Bird does. So that's an interesting note to end on. Similar to the BMW.
Ducati are very good like that. Yeah, Ducati are very good like that. And I think, you know, BMW are the same. You know, Ducati is a family, you know, and we have been part of that family for a very long time now. You know, being a Ducati dealer and racing for 10 years now, Ducatis, we have a very strong bond with Ducati, of course, you know, the factory. And if we want something, we can have it. If it's a benefit to us, the factory will tell us and say, actually, guys, we think this will really work for you. It's been really good to have the PBM bikes in the paddock, because it's brought Giovanni Krupi, who is Shakey's crew chief, to BSB full time. So we have access to Giovanni. We're able to talk and stuff, you know, because we're good friends with him anyway as a team, because we've had him as a chief before. So he, you know, we all talk and informed of updates and that kind of stuff, you know. So it's really good to have that extra couple of bikes in the paddock, because they can then see what works at the British circuits, because obviously, you know, world circuits are totally different. Yeah, they get to Cadwell Park and stuff, you know, it's not the same. And Knock Hill, it's not the same as Imola, you know.
Yeah, exactly. There's not much that replicates Knock Hill on the World Championships. Just to summarise then, really briefly, what can we expect from Moto Rapido Ducati in 2018? Is it going to be top 10s, pushing for the showdown, podiums, or are we looking at a title charge?
We are aiming for the showdown, but, you know, anybody can win it, as was proven this year, you know. There's lots of people out there. The top 20 are super fast. We're aiming for the showdown. We haven't made it there thus far in the Moto Rapido list, so showdown is first, and then we'll go from there, but not to get overexcited.
Brilliant to hear from you, Ian. As ever, insightful, and all the best for 2018. Thanks, and all the best to John Hopkins, who currently, as you say, is probably sat at home in his wheelchair.
Yeah, loving it. He's probably eating cans of biscuits and drinking tea.
Well, that's not good news for you, because you want your ride to stay fit as well.
He needs to put some weight on, he'll be fine.
Ian, thank you very much.
Take care, mate.
Ta.
Fantastic stuff, and thank you, Mr. Iain Hopcroft, for coming on the show. And a lot of insights, I would say there, Kiko. What was the main takeaways from that conversation for you?
I think the fact that he's not discounting the World Superbike wildcard, that's going to be very interesting to see how that bike fares against the Ducati that, okay, may be the same, but albeit different regulations. Also, the fact that they're looking to keep Thomas Strudwick in the outfit in some setting, that's brilliant to see that a team is supporting their rider all the way through. So quite a few little bits out of that. And great to hear that John Hopkins is on the mend, and he will be back on a motorcycle very soon. If you didn't know what happened to John Hopkins, a massive crash going into Paddock Hill Bend at Brands Hatch. But thankfully, although he is wheelchair bound at the moment, he will be back on a motorcycle. And you heard it from Iain Hopcroft. Doesn't get much more reliable than that.
You heard it here first. And since we've been live for the second time. We've just been having a quick scroll through some people's comments regarding as well tonight's big question that we're asking regarding what happened at MotoGP in the weekend. Not Marquez, not Dovizioso as such, not the actual race winner, but we're asking, was Lorenzo right to ignore team orders? Kiko, have you been keeping an eye on some of the responses that we have? I know that some of the things that I've seen anyway haven't been... We're just literally not able to read them out. They contain a lot of swears in them. As soon as we get a clean comment flood in, we will bring you that. But let us know if you think he was right to maybe ignore team orders. If you think maybe MotoGP should just be about the rider and not about the team, then let us know. We want to know your opinions and your thoughts. One man who may share some thoughts with us was the man who was actually there for his last MotoGP race commentary. Please welcome onto the Superbike Show, Mr. Julian Rider. Hello.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for joining us on Motorsport Radio, Julian. You are live right now. And welcome to the show. And Kiko has, I know he's been dying to ask you a load of questions, as you may have seen from your bombardment of tweets throughout the week.
Indeed.
Julian, I must say thank you for coming on the show, and not just thank you for that, but thank you for years of great coverage. Before we get into all of that, though, and before we have a look back over your amazing career, how did it all start? Where did your passion for journalism, as it was, because you didn't go straight into broadcasting, how did that passion for journalism come around?
I was looking for a job. After university, science degree, and I was turned into a proper sub-editor on Learned Society publications by the Institute of Electrical Engineers, their publishing department. So it went from there, then to the member magazine, then to a consumer magazine, and then somebody let me have a job on a motorcycle magazine.
Did you ever expect it to lead to motorcycles, though, whilst you were at university? Did you ever think, motorcycle racing, that seems really interesting?
The whole point was motorbikes. I was a motorcyclist.
Oh, okay.
And once I got into publishing, in any way, shape or form, the objective, quite simply, was to work on Bike magazine.
Did you ever expect it to get as big as it has been, though? Because you have been writing books, you have been doing commentary, you have been, or in every series possible.
Yeah, it's the only book I've ever done, the only thing I've ever done that was properly big time, I think, was the biography of Carl Fogarty.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you're talking audiences reached, units sold, everything else is slightly niche. It's satellite telly, not terrestrial.
But it doesn't take away from the fact that you're still a journalist.
I hope not. I've never thought of myself as a television person. I've always thought of myself as a journalist.
What got you into the broadcasting? You went in there in, I believe, 1990, but what has made you stay for that long?
It's easier than journalism. And you can earn a better living at it. Where do you sell freelance journalism in the motorcycle world now? You can't.
Yeah, it's very difficult. It is very difficult. Did you have to learn anything differently with broadcasting?
Funnily enough, not a lot. But there's the disciplines of speaking to time and listening to the director while talking at the same time. There are those tricks that you must master. But fundamentally, you are trying to tell a story in a different way, I grant you. But you're still telling a story that hopefully illuminates some, not darker corners, but throws some light in there, you know?
More
Helps
insightful,
explain
maybe.
what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Less, you can be more self-indulgent writing.
Yes. Because you have more time, I suppose.
Yeah, and you have to sort of stay between the hedges a bit more if you're doing a live broadcast.
Absolutely, unless
on a
it's like
sporting event, obviously. Yeah,
absolutely, unless it's past 9 o'clock and we can let some people over them hedges, as you may well do later when we come up to some more technical questions. But this next one, what have you enjoyed the most about your career on a whole? I mean, we know that it's travel was the reason you've stepped away from the Grand Prix paddock, but the travel many years ago might have been an appealing aspect of the job.
Oh, absolutely. At the start, it's great. It's fantastic. And if I was a younger man, I'd probably still be thinking it was fantastic, or it wouldn't have, wouldn't have got to me as much. The travel's been very enjoyable. I've seen, been to Japan a dozen times, 20 times, whatever it is, which is always a treat. I've been to Laguna Seca. I've been to Giannapi. I've been to places I would not have got to without my job. And that's a complete privilege.
Has that been the ultimate aspect to it all, apart from obviously commentating on the racing and being in the paddock? What has been the one thing you will miss?
Well, I think being able to observe world-class sportsmen close up.
Okay. And obviously talking with them as well.
Yes, I mean, observation is more useful, I feel.
Okay, because you can take a step back and kind of look at it from an outsider's point of view whilst being there.
The journalist is not the story. You're not there to be their mates, friends, or dinner companions. It's best if you're not. And just but to observe some remarkable people, driven people who are still, you think, well, this person should actually be clinically insane, but they're not. That's interesting stuff going on.
There is, but do you appreciate also that, with being in the paddocks, you've learnt so much more than you would have, maybe having a step back from them as well?
Yes, I think so. But the closer you are, the more you see.
Yeah.
It's just that. Yes, I like the machinery, and I'm a tech geek. But when it comes down to it, it is the people doing it that are interesting.
On to the racing itself, because races are the people doing it. What have been the highlights, and what have been the lowlights throughout your career?
Well, highlights of the things you remember, the great moments, obviously. Rossi 03, Phillip Island winning by 15 seconds after the 10-second penalty. And Rossi again in 04, the win in Velcom. Obvious standouts. Nicky Hayden's championship win in Valencia 06, the most emotional day of my career. And the lowlights are fairly obvious, I think. Yeah,
obviously, because you're dealing in the sport that has many dangers. What about your World Superbikes, though? Because before you came across, as some people may know you now for the Grand Prix stuff since around 2000, you had 7 seasons over in World Superbikes. What were the best parts of that?
Oh, that was, there was the golden years of World Superbike. No question at all. And that was with Sky Sports, and the Carl Fogarty tsunami, which I think was half created by Carl and half by the coverage that Sky Sports gave it.
Yeah,
that was a real privilege.
It was the first time really that Superbikes had been exposed to a massive audience on a big sports platform, so to speak.
Nobody had heard of Superbikes before.
Absolutely. It's come a long way since Donington Park 5 years before Sky took it on.
Yeah, exactly. The crucial thing was that we had a hometown winner. And to start with, the first year a hometown contender, because the first year was 93, Scott Russell's year. But you had you had a fight on all fronts. You had Britain versus the USA, Blackburn versus Georgia. You had Ducati versus the might of the Japanese. It worked on every level.
And also you had that little internal battles as well towards the back end of the 90s with Carl Fogarty and Jamie Whittams, and obviously Neil Hodgson. They all fought out together on circuit as well. So that was a great privilege to watch as well. It must have been.
None of them fought Carl Fogarty.
No, exactly. Carl, I think one of his quotes was he had to hate someone to beat them. He never liked his rivals. John Kaczynski, 97, would be an example of all that. What does World Superbikes, though, back to World Superbikes now in general, what does it have to do to get back to how it was for you and Keith Ewan in the commentary box for the 7 seasons that you covered it? What does World Superbikes have to do to get back to how...
It's not possible.
Okay.
Not possible. There is not, we've got factory Grand Prix teams running around without sponsorship. Whatever makes anybody think there's enough money for a small sport like motorcycle racing to pretend it can run 2 series that call themselves World Championships.
So where do you see World Superbikes going in the future then? Will it become defunct or will it merge with Grand Prix?
Well, no, it won't become defunct because the people who own it, the people who own Dorna, have a product they want to survive and make money.
Yeah.
There are, I think, it can survive. It can bump along happily, getting the audience as it is now. Why not? It can do that. It's a question.
Yeah. Do you think that the crowd can come back, though, to World Superbikes? What does it need? More people, better circuits, more coverage, or is it completely gone?
No, it's got great coverage.
Okay.
It's how does it get people to watch it again?
Yeah.
Is the question. I mean, I think it needs a radical reform. The USP of World Supers for me always was wild cards.
I agree.
And you go to Japan and you get, Aoki and a bunch of kids you've never heard of on top machinery, giving the regulars a hard time. The same used to be, in Australia and the USA, you could say the same would happen. And I have this sort of unformed plan in my head, or vision, if you like, that the World Superbike field should be, I don't know, 12, 15 regulars. Okay. And they go and take on the top half of the Japanese championship grid, and the Australian grid, and the DSB grid, and the Moto America grid. That's sort of that to me, it needs something that radical.
Do you think then the grid reforms are not enough? The reverse grid? The reverse grid, is that not enough?
It's, of course not. Trivia. Okay. Fiddling.
Yeah. What about the split races, Saturday and Sunday? Surely that has turned fans away as well?
I haven't seen the figures. I don't know whether it did or not. Instinct tells me it's not a good idea, but I haven't seen what's happened to circuit figures, etc. I can't see it. I can't see it myself.
What about we've had the World Superbike calendar released. What do you make of the 10-week gap in the middle of it? Is that too long? We know World Superbikes has always had big gaps, but 10 weeks is pushing it, surely.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, and you're right. It always has had gaps. Right from 1988, there have been big gaps between races in World Supers. And so what do you do about it? Well, the circuits have their priorities, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not just you can't pick a date when you want a race.
That's very true.
It has to fit in what everybody else is doing, what the championship's doing, and what the circuit involved is doing.
And World Superbikes, if it can't pull the audience in, is not going to be a priority for a circuit owner when he could go to, or he or she could go to another championship and get the same amount of money but more people.
Exactly.
But MotoGP, going back to MotoGP now, has it ever been this strong?
No, never. Absolutely not. It's never been this close, and there have just purely the statistics between when did you last see somebody lapped?
Yeah, a long time ago, in standard dry conditions.
Long time ago. The gap between first and last is comparatively tiny. And when Dorna, Erta, FIM get their way, and there will be 6 manufacturers, as there are already, but each manufacturer will have a 2-man factory team and a 2-man satellite team, I think that's probably about as near to perfect as you can make it.
What has the change been down to, though? Throughout your career, what has been the standout change that Dorna have implemented into MotoGP that has given us what we have today?
Well, MotoGP.
The change to 4 strokes?
Yes, absolutely.
How do you think the recession was handled as well? Because we had empty grids as well back in 2011, and they brought in the CRT class under much criticism.
Well, yes, people who criticised, hello, what was the alternative?
And what have we had today?
Sorry?
And what have we had today? It's led on to Aprilia joining as a full-time factory.
It showed, exactly. I mean, the CRT thing, which was ugly and nobody liked it, but it showed the factories that Dorna was serious.
Has that taken away maybe the selling point to get to World Superbikes, though? Have some manufacturers said, no, we'll go to MotoGP all the time now?
What selling point for World Superbikes?
Well,
there has never been one.
Never been one in respect of since it's kind of faded away and MotoGP's took over as the main 4-stroke class? No,
it's not a matter of fading. World Superbike was always intended from the start, and certainly what Japan Inc. wanted was it was a championship for privateers, for importers, for concessionaires teams, not for factories. And
that's where Ducati kind of broke the mould on that one.
I said Japanese factories.
Yes, exactly. And with Kawasaki again doing it now, they're kind of changing it a bit. But Ducati have always been the factory-supported team. If you get my drift.
If Neil Spalding was on here, he'd point out to you that Kawasaki is not a motorcycle manufacturer.
It's not, it's a shipbuilding company.
Exactly. It's not in the motorcycling sector as organised by the Japanese Ministry of Industry, or whatever it's called. It's not in the club. It's in the shipbuilding and heavy industry club.
Yes.
So it feels, and which is very Japanese, the motorcycle manufacturers, Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, will follow the same general policies. And I've no doubt Kawasaki and its fellow shipbuilders follow the same policies in their sectors. But Kawasaki feels no need to be part of the consensus in motorcycling.
Exactly, because that's not what they're set up to primarily do. Moving on, though, to back to you a little bit now. What is next for you? Because people seem to be a little bit misunderstanding of you're not retiring, you are just stepping away from Grand Prix. So what's next? Are we going to go into? Are we going to carry on with broadcasting? Are we going to go back to more journalist stuff, or are we going to go on to Strictly Come Dancing, or maybe I'm a Celebrity?
I don't think I'll be doing that. If I did, I'd last about 1 week. I'm going to republish my book on Honda V4s from 1999, suitably updated, etc., inspired by the example of Matt Oxley and Neil Spalding and their self-publications. That's my major project. I hope I will turn up on some TV elsewhere.
Okay.
I'm not after a full-time job, but I think I'll, the sort of substitute that could stand in at short notice if required.
Would British Superbikes be an option for you, maybe to do some more stuff based around that?
I have not asked. I'm not after stealing Jim Whittam's job or anybody else's job. If there's a lot of clashes between BSB and World Supers next year. Yes. 5, if I remember correctly. It would suit me very nicely to maybe help out on a couple of them. Okay. The one thing that BT Sport and I would like to do together is, as and when the Talent Cup happens, I would very much like to be involved with that, and BT Sport were kind enough to say that they think that's a good idea. But as we don't know any details whatsoever yet, all I can say is there's a bit of goodwill flying about there, but nothing else.
Okay. It's interesting to hear, though, because I think a lot of people I speak on behalf of thousands here it'd be a shame to lose you altogether, but as you've reiterated, that's absolutely not the case. Now, I've got a question here.
I hope not. I hope not, and I think a lot of other people do. I've got a question here from your other half, your sidekick, Keith Ewan. What's Ewan got to say?
He wants to know if you're going to miss his driving and his exceptionally patient nature.
The trouble with driving ex-motorcycle racers, that they think that driving a centimetre from something else to like 100 miles an hour as they pass it closely is normal behaviour. I keep pointing out that normal human beings don't do this, but it doesn't have an effect on him. He's excellent. There's nothing wrong with Keith's driving whatsoever. It's just his view of the correct margins are slightly different from normal human beings. And I promised him I'd never mention the time he nearly tail-ended the truck in Indianapolis. Never mention it ever.
Please tell us more if you feel free to.
No, he didn't touch it. It was close though.
Okay, he nearly parked it in the wrong place then. He's got another question for you here.
Is there anybody else?
Well, it's all about Keith Ewan. You two have great chemistry, so I will put one more to you from him.
Go on.
Have any of the X-Racer tendencies rubbed off on you? So, for example, changing lanes to get one car length better than what you already was in the stuck in traffic?
I'm afraid it has, yes.
Okay.
The tendencies were obviously there already, and his example just brought them out in me.
Rob Morgan asks, who was the most intriguing person you've ever interviewed?
That's a nice question. Intriguing as in what's going on behind those, north of those eyebrows, you mean? Jorge Lorenzo is right up there.
Okay.
Because that is one very complicated young man, as anybody who's read his book will tell you.
How about John Kaczynski, 1997? A lot of people
never really interacted with him enough to give you an opinion.
Okay.
He was difficult, he was and you couldn't find him, and I never had really a long enough conversation or set interview with him to get my own ideas. I've plenty of ideas that other people have given me, but they're not my own.
Okay, so you've got to form your own effectively, like I think a lot of people should do. You only find out who the real person is until you start talking to them. Final bit then of this interview. Before we wrap it up, and it's been a pleasure to have you on for the great time that you have been on. Actually, it's a little bit longer than I thought, but we're going to play a little game, and it's I can hear you chuckling away here. We're going to say to you, you've got to pick one of the following. We've got to pick one of the options I give you. Now there are 4 sets here. I'm going to start with Valentino Rossi or Marc Marquez.
Oh blimey! To do what, I ask?
You could say levels of success, motivation. We'll go with motivation and desire.
There's at the moment nothing to separate them. In terms of what might happen, Marquez could surpass Rossi's achievements by the time he's 30 years old.
Okay.
At the rate he's going, is quite likely to.
Yes, and it's quite a frightening prospect that he will only be 30 and has many years left in his career.
If he wants them.
If he stays around long enough. It depends if he wants to go down the Freddie Spencer route of leaving not long after his great achievements, but he's stayed around for so long now, so I think he will, personally, I think he'll stay around. Next one, who would you rather work with, Suzy Perry or Craig Doyle?
Oh, you see, that very clever, Kiko, but impossible to answer.
But if you had to answer...
Because they're both absolutely superb professionals.
Okay.
Incredibly good at their jobs. There is no answer to that one.
Next one. Who have you enjoyed commentating with more this season, or over the period of time you've been with BT? Colin Edwards or James Tozen? Both of them former World Superbike champions.
Yeah,
Neil Hodgson. Neil Hodgson in there as well.
There is no right answer to a question like that.
Okay.
There is nothing to pick. Like 3 world champions, all with different views, different strengths, but all of whose views one has to respect.
Okay. So you haven't answered the last 2, but I will get an answer out of you because I know at least one of these people is watching. The last one, you have to pick one. Who have you enjoyed commentating with more since you began broadcasting? Toby Moody or Keith Ewan?
I thought you'd have got the hint by now, Kiko. This is not Toby's rider and corner recognition, Keith's understanding of motorcycle racing. So I want a bit of each of them.
Okay. I'll try and organise that for you. But Julian, I'll say it again. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show. It's been a pleasure to have you on hearing you from our screens. You will be missed, and I think I speak on behalf of a lot of people as far as that one is concerned. So thanks for the years of great coverage. Please don't stay away for too long. Come back when you can. And who knows, maybe we'll have you on here another time, and hopefully with a few less sound issues. I don't want to be sounding too much like something out of Doctor Who.
No, thank you very much. Always a pleasure, Kiko, and I don't intend to disappear completely. I can assure you of that.
And I think that assures the whole British public who views MotoGP. Julian Rider, thank you very much, and enjoy the off-season.
Yes, that's a good one. Thank you, Kiko.
Thank you.
This is Motorsport Radio. Join the conversation and have your say on motorsport-radio.com. Motorsport Radio. The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Yes, we are back live on Motorsport Radio. This is the Superbike Show. My name is Lester. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. And thank you very much for everybody who's been in touch with the show and sent in their wonderful, lovely, supportive comments all evening long. Right from when I was having a bit of a nightmare earlier. Don't worry, you probably didn't see it anyway. Right to, all the wonderful, lovely little comments to Julian. And apologies as well for anybody who did send in messages and nice comments that we didn't have time to read out. We did certainly read them all, and it was very interesting, I would say, to get Julian's comments as to what he thought about certain things, and especially what he thought about certain riders as well. Because tonight, I'm talking about Lorenzo, his comment on that. If you didn't pick up on it, I'll remind you what it was. Tonight, by the way, we are asking the big question of the show. Was Lorenzo right to ignore, disobey team orders? That's the big question that we are asking tonight. Kiko Alexander Giles is here. He's just taking a little breather, but not for long, because he's here on the show again, once again. And hello, Kiko.
Oh, what a great interview! It's not.
If you say so yourself.
No. It really was very insightful. I don't want to take all the credit. It was a pleasure to interview someone who actually gave me the desire to go into this field of work. So thank you very much, Ian, for your time. And there's a lot of stories there. And whatever happened with Keith Ewan and that thing in Indianapolis, I'm sure we'll find out another day. Maybe
put it in his forthcoming book as well. And yes. And even I remember listening to Julian and Toby Moody as well, both together, and them pair as well were a lot of the reason why I gained an interest in MotoGP way back when as well. So a huge credit and to the bike broadcasting world he has been, both him and Toby Moody as well, who for some reason isn't commentating on World Championships anymore. Seems strange, but hey ho, that's life. And that's really not all that we've got on the show this evening, because we've still got coming up a bit later, in a few moments, in fact, we've got Chandler Warren Gray. And for those wondering who Chandler Warren Gray is, Kiko, who is he?
He was Bradley Ray, the Build-Based team manager, the Build-Based Suzuki team manager that ran Bradley Ray last season. And well, for those of you who tuned in earlier, if you haven't tuned in earlier, first of all, why? But second of all, he has been appointed brand manager for Moto Rapido Ducati. That was come from the horse's mouth. Iain Hopcroft has appointed him that position. And when he does come on, Chandler Warren Gray, we're going to be finding out more about what does that actually mean. Yeah, because I want to know what that actually means. Is it? Did you ask Iain earlier on the show? Like, what is a? I think he was saying something to do with what I heard. Anyway, it was not necessarily to do with the team side of things, but more of an all-round brand type thing, and the company's adventures off track as well. If that was. Yeah, it was more about integration between the dealership side of things and also the racing side of things, because a lot of people forget that. A little bit like with Bournemouth Kawasaki, the JG Speedfit team, they're a dealership, but they're also a race team. And I think that just needs to be emphasised a little bit more on the dealership side of things for Moto Rapido. Based in Winchester, of course. So, you know, they have the links, and they're very close to Thruxton, so the racing element is kind of natural, but maybe they just need to push themselves a little bit more as a dealership. If you have any questions for Chandler Warren Gray, you can get them to us. It's at MSport Radio on Twitter, it's Motorsport Radio on the old Facebook, and it's at MotoGP Kiko to contact Kiko directly. And please welcome then onto the show, it is Mr. Chandler Warren Gray. Hello there.
Hello there, good evening.
Good evening and welcome to the Superbike Show. Welcome to Motorsport Radio. You are live right now at the moment. Chandler, thank you very much for joining us. We were just sort of talking about you, really, about what a brand manager actually does in your case. I suppose we can let Kiko ask you directly, because he's got loads of questions for you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chandler. Hope you're very well, and I hope I'm sounding better than I was earlier. What is this brand manager that you have been appointed as? What is that job title going to entail for 2018 and 18's endeavours?
It's a bit what you were alluding to in terms of connecting the dots between the dealership and the racing team. I will be at the racing events. I will be involved with the racing team with Iain and Steve Moore, or Wilk as we call him. The brand manager's position is about connecting that. It's about the analysis and the planning on how the brand is perceived within, not only within the industry that we have within the dealership, but also within the racing team. You know, is where we got tangible elements such as, you know, the correlation between the dealership and Moto Rapido racing team, and the intangible elements, which is the perception of the public. The public often enough doesn't correlate the Moto Rapido racing team with Moto Rapido dealership in Winchester. And the job is to highlight that and to highlight to our sponsors that we're a bit more than just a racing team. In fact, we are a dealership that just happens to go racing with a lot of people behind us, of course. You know, it's about brand management, build brand credibility, you know, the credibility brands only that can build a brand's loyalty, is to achieve the flagship, I will say, insofar as Ducati's presence is within the championship, hopefully going forward. That's what we're trying to do within the BSB racing team. Touching on that point also, evidently, you know, it's turning, again, all of that brand that Ducati already quite successfully does themselves, and take a bit of that and learn lessons from them and understand that we are bigger together. We are bigger. We are family bigger than we currently are. We belong to a bigger family, such as Ducati. We are a big family ourselves within the Moto Rapido family in Winchester and in the racing team and all our sponsors and supporters. So it's just a correlation of that involvement with Cool Fab Racing, Ducati Track Days. you name it, I shall try and bring it all together with Ian and Steve.
How much integration will there be with the Cool Fab Championship? Because obviously the Moto Rapido have got a presence in there now, but are you looking at kind of not keeping it, but enhancing that connection between grassroots British racing to the top level motorsport in British racing?
Absolutely, it's certainly on my agenda, high on my agenda for that matter, to cultivate the grassroots and to work within the Cool Fab racing setting and develop and collaborate with those relationships and make it better. Is difficult to say better because it kind of alludes that it wasn't good enough. It already is a wonderful series. Is about really enhancing that, collaborating with the existing people around it, and make it, I guess, making it better, make it more streamlined, I guess.
Absolutely. And how would you go around achieving that more streamlined approach? Will there be an expansion in the Cool Fab Championship, or will there be like a kind of guest days for the Cool Fab riders to go to the Superbikes and like kind of learn that way? Or how would you do that?
It's probably a combination of them both, in fairness. I think we need to sit down with the key members, with the key parties that form part of the big family that is Cool Fab Racing, including the families and their loved ones and all the people that make it happen, weekend in, weekend out. So all of those people are important for us to sit down and see where the appetite is. I think that is a wonderful thing for us to do, to get involved with, to even be part of in a higher level than we've been before. I do believe that it does a service to our championship that the Spanish championships have got their own, and we need our own. And I think with the British Talent Cup also in line for next year, I think all of it is going to be an awesome job for the young stars to come and rise, and be a Bradley Ray, be a Shaky Byrne, a John Hopkins, all of those people that make a difference in all of our lives.
With your new job as brand manager, that must entail attracting sponsors to the team. Now, the team's been let down in the past before with sponsors, especially coming into the 2017 season. How would you go around making sure a sponsor stays in the team for the foreseeable future as a sustainable signing, so to speak?
Well, we can't control what goes on in other people's businesses, and I would be ill to say that when people commit to us that they're doing so with an eye that things will fail. No one does that. Everybody's very, very passionate about Moto Rapido Racing Team and Moto Rapido dealership, as we've mentioned, and indeed BSB alike. Nobody goes into this business to let people down. However, it does happen. We all know it, and we all accept that is a calculated risk. Our job, my job, Steve's job, Ian's job is to make sure that calculated risk is taken to a minimum, and that we do our homework, that we do our due diligence, and that we make sure that the people that are involved with us are sustainable, are as passionate as we are, and have the same visions that we are, and that they share the goals that we do. We, again, can't control what goes on in their own businesses other than doing our due diligence, which we are promptly doing so.
Absolutely. Now, we've spoken about Moto Rapido, but let's learn a little bit more about yourself. Spent last season, 2017, with Bill Bay's Suzuki. How was Bradley Ray to work with?
He was and is a dream. What you see on television is pretty much a mild version of Bradley Ray in real life. He is as mad can be, but in a genuine and kind way. He can drive you absolutely bananas with his antics. Sometimes you literally just want to tie him down so he can stop jumping around. But having said that, you don't want to take away the very same excitement that he has for racing out of his racing. So it was a pleasure to work with him for sure.
I've got a question just coming from Elliot York. How far can Bradley Ray go in his career?
As far as the eye can see, I believe. I think he has got the potential to be up there with the very best. It does depend on his application, which from firsthand as a former manager and as a friend I have seen. So he applies himself to his trade. It does depend on his advisors and people surrounding him and the people that he's going to work with within the next coming years to support that, to cultivate that, and to not abuse that, I suppose. So everybody, all of us actually, including the journalists, play a part in his future.
How did it come around? Because obviously it's well documented that you wasn't with the team at Brands Hatch for the final round of the season. How did that come around? What was the cause of the split between Chandler Warren Gray and Bill Bass Suzuki?
Damn, was it well documented? I didn't know that.
Within the paddock, it was.
Okay.
Enough people were talking about it to notice it.
Okay. Look, I'm not gonna talk to Julie and too long on the subject. It's fair to say that every job and every opportunity has its positives and negatives. You know, the positives is I've worked with a very dedicated, hard-working, genuine, respectful mechanics, engineers, and team within the Bill Bass Suzuki side. Brad's progress has been immensely positive, of course. The incredible results that no one expected, let alone Suzuki themselves. We had a very good understanding and kind sponsors. That helped us a lot. There was no pressure on us. And of course, our side of the garage was always, for the most part, a very harmonious side. Listen, the negatives, to be honest with you, Kiko, it's far too easy for me to sit here away from everybody without anybody being able to challenge me to make accusatory and unkind comments towards anyone. It is fair to say that I have remained dignified in my silence. Some others haven't, as you've alluded to. These people aren't relevant enough to my life for me to worry or rise to their comments or to their defamatory or incorrect comments. I have nothing negative to say about my experience other than what I've expressed to the people concerned. I wasn't at Brands Hatch as I wasn't meant to be there to begin with, just so we are clear. I had other engagements that I was attending at that point in time. But it is correct that we have parted companies in Assen, the latter stages of the race itself. You said just at the start of that answer that it was mostly harmonious. Would it be fair to say that there was a few little grievances within the team? That always is, aren't they? You think about every team up and down the paddock. If you don't hear a disagreement and not so harmonious comment between team members, then everything is working too well. It's a bit like a marriage. If you don't have an agreement, you don't have any really passion and any fire within it. And before everybody criticizes me, this is just my personal view. So that is this is how I see it. Has it been? Listen, it's been a great experience for me, and I'd like to thank Hawk Racing and of course Bill Bass and Suzuki for the opportunity, and I leave it at that.
Do you think now that you had that year working with a young rider in Bradley Ray, has that taught you anything? Has it taught you tolerance or patience or anything like that? We've seen you stressed at some points behind the pit garages having a quick smoke, but what have you learned from that season working with a young star such as Bradley Ray?
Smoking, Kiko? That's very defamatory. Yeah, of course. It could be worse. I could be chewing gum. I could be doing many other things that other people clearly do. He taught me a lot about myself. He taught me about my strengths in character, my business mind. It taught me about perhaps being more patient with certain people, not with Brad, funnily enough, but with different scenarios. And I come from a background where I'm a boss. I own a multi-million-pound company with my partner. We have 1,400 staff. So to go from that to a being told what to do. It was difficult, but I adapted accordingly. But he taught me a lot about myself and about the industry, and I'm thankful for that.
What was the highlight of last season? The podium at Alton Park. What a fantastic race that was. Was there anything else maybe that really made you go, we've done it, we've achieved what we set out to achieve?
It goes without a doubt. I mean, if I didn't mention the podium, it would be a ludicrous comment to make. Of course, that was the highlight of the season from our view standpoint. But having said that, the whole season was positive. Yes, we had a niggling problem here and there. Yes, we let Brad down at some stages. Brad let us down in some stages. But, you know, on the whole, I think we were incredibly hard-working team. We were incredibly lucky insofar as not a lot of mechanical issues. We didn't have a lot of that. So I would say the entire season has been a highlight. I suppose the cherry on top would be the podium.
Do you think that it felt a lot better because you was top Suzuki in the paddock, in the championship? Sorry, knowing that you didn't have all the trick bits and the massive support that the other side of the garage might have had.
It certainly didn't hinder us, for sure. I think we didn't have any pressure on us. We didn't have an expectation on us as a team to begin with, let alone on Bradley Ray and Alex Olsen. There was no pressure. So that didn't. The only pressure, and I think I've done an interview with you at some stage partway through the season, which was, you know, if anybody put pressure on himself, has been Brad, not us, not the team, not the team management, not the owners. It's been Brad. So, no, I think he made it easier that we were the top Suzuki most of the time. He made it awkward too. You know, let's be realistic, because that wasn't what Suzuki wanted. That wasn't what other sponsors wanted, clearly, but that's what they got, and that's what the job we did. Whether or not that was how it was meant to be intended, it's not for me to comment.
Finally, Chandler, what's your expectations for Moto Rapido Ducati in 2018? We've heard Iain's, but what are yours?
Our expectations, as Iain says, we're working through a program that I'm incredibly proud of, and a program that I think is going to be a very successful one, not only for next year, but for years to come. The idea is to be the sustainability of the Moto Rapido dealership and racing team relies upon us all to put our best way forward to the team. I think we have a great plan ahead of us. I think we have tangible and solid sponsors along our journey, but of course we will see what's going to happen. I will like to say that, you know, from my point of view, as soon as we have talked about other job that I have in 2017, I'd like to certainly thank very much so the team owner, Steve Wilf Moore, as we call him Wilf, and obviously the team manager, Iain Hopcroft, which we've heard from him earlier, for the opportunity to believe in me. You know, we've been trying to collaborate forces for the last few years, but for one reason or another, it just didn't happen. So I'm really, really thankful to them, and to those of you that are hearing and listening to this particular interview, the McKenzie family, I'm very, very thankful for, and very, very proud to be their friends. They know what I mean by it.
Chandler, been a pleasure to have you on the show, and we here at Motorsport Radio wish you all the best of success in 2018. I hope to see Moto Rapido back up the sharp end of things.
Thanks very much, Kiko. Thank you, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Chandler.
Yes, thank you very much. And yeah, another fantastic interview. 3 great interviews, Kiko, this evening that we've had, and well done. Congratulations. I don't know how the hell we did it, but we managed to get through those interviews with no issues, which was good. Other than apparently Iain Hopcroft didn't like the cut of your jib and seemingly hung up on you. No, he didn't really.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was good. Chandler Warren Gray there, and usually one of the people who perhaps you might not necessarily see. He's out in part of the when the cameras are rolling, for example. In BSB, he's been mostly behind the scenes, and I wonder, I wonder how much perhaps success the team might have attributed to Chandler being part of the team last year.
That's a question that we'll have to ask them.
Potentially, but I don't know. I sensed you was kind of trying to dig away, getting some real sort of like, oh, what was the real reason that you didn't? Obviously, I mean, these things happen, and nothing ever lasts forever. And we wish Chandler and Iain both the best in 2018 with the team and also with the dealership as well. Chandler Warren Gray, the brand manager of Moto Rapido.
Brand new manager, you could say.
No.
But one thing I do want to get to the bottom of is Loris Baz has signed for the Altea BMW team over in World Superbike. So we're going to crack on with the news now in the World Superbike paddock. Lots of it to get through, so
we're moving topic, by the way. That was smoothly done. Go on.
World Superbikes. We'll start with Loris Baz. It's been known for a couple of weeks now. We broke it to you here that Loris Baz will be on the Altea BMW. That was confirmed today. So great stuff to have Loris Baz back, a fast Frenchman as well. So Loris Baz back in the World Superbike paddock for next season. There's been a change of manufacturer down at Grillini Kawasaki.
Oh yeah.
Or Grillini Racing, as we should call them, because they've left their 5-year collaboration with Kawasaki. Their partnership is done with them. They've moved to Suzuki. This will be the first team to run the new Gixxer full-time in 2018 World Superbikes. Their rider lineup is yet to be announced. Of course, when we hear it, you'll hear it. The important thing about that is they will remain privateers. They will not have massive factory support from Suzuki. So that's kind of tells me Suzuki are either not bothered about World Superbikes as a platform to enter, or they are not wanting to support a privateer team because they have a factory, like a factory input coming through shortly, and maybe we'll see them in 2018. Not quite sure what I think of that though. The team owner though did say that they thought they could be a little bit more competitive last season, and I'd be fair to say they had a couple of disappointing results. Someone who didn't have any disappointing results, though, was Xavi Forés, running in the podium positions at the end of the season at Losail. He stays with the Barney Racing Ducati team for one more season. Fantastic privateer run outfit, and they have had some brilliant results. They had a podium in 2016, didn't quite get in that top three this year, but 2018 is a new season, and with the regulations coming in, the concessions coming in, don't put it past Xavi Forés to take a pole position, a fastest lap, a podium, or if the weather conditions are right, or if that bike is set up right, may even be a win there. We've already mentioned about Altea BMW with Loris Baz. The last thing I want to touch on, Andy Irwin has left the British Supersport paddock and he goes over to the World Supersport paddock. He signs with Simon Buckmaster's team, the ex-Grand Prix rider, of course, from the early 90s. Simon Buckmaster runs the CIA Landlords Insurance team. Andy Irwin has gone there. He replaces Jules Cluzel, who moves on to a new Yamaha team. So that's the World Superbike paddock wrapped up fairly neatly there.
Ooh, very good. Thank you very much, Kiko. And I also understand that you have some news regarding people who have fallen this year, and we have a chart.
Ooh. We do have a chart. Now, this is a little bit more MotoGP based than anything, but we have a brilliant chart. I think it'll be for the visual radio viewers on very soon. In fact, here it comes now. So for those of you who cannot see this, I will describe it for you. This chart effectively tells you about all of the falls at each of the circuits this season for MotoGP.
Does this include all the falls from people and the people who have fell and got back up and continued in the race as well?
It will count all crashes. Okay. So this is the Misano World Circuit Marco Simoncelli, which is at the top with 140 crashes.
There was
139 of them were on race day, and about 138 of them were from the grandstands because it was so wet on the grass banks. But Mazzano, again, top of the list, but it's not a safety issue, really. It was absolutely appalling weather. I was there, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, but I was there looking like a drowned rat, or more of a drowned rat than I normally do.
Is that just a coincidence that the one MotoGP race you attend, everybody crashes?
It's a little bit of bad luck, isn't it? People will stop coming on this show soon. In second place was Le Mans in France, the 94 crashes. Mazzano had 140, by the way. 94 crashes at Le Mans and 91 at Assen. That was
another wet one, I think, wasn't it?
It had wet aspects to it. It rained mid-race, but no one came in. Well, very few riders came in to change tyres. Jorge Lorenzo and Johan Zarco were the big names there. Moving down to the other end of the spectrum, though, and in third to last place, or 16th place, because we've got 18 circuits, we have Silverstone, which was on 32. And then in the penultimate place, 17th place, Termas de Rio Hondo in Argentina on 30. But the lowest was Mugello, 28 crashes across the 3 days of racing.
Why is that?
I don't know. Mugello did have a high crash count before, but conditions were perfect all the way through the 2017 round. So maybe the consistent track conditions allowed everyone to kind of grow and expect to what they knew and expect a certain track environment. So there was probably less crashes, and riders knew more of what they were riding to, what track aspect they were riding to. So I think that might be one reason.
And do these stats include, is it just the race session only, or is it the entire weekend? Because 140 for one apparently race does seem an awful lot. I mean,
no, these will be across the weekend. These are across the weekend statistics. So 140 across the weekend is... Well, you divide that by 3. Mental maths live is not good. It's about 45.
Because I can imagine if it's a wet practice, obviously you're going to have riders testing the limits, and that's the time to push and test things. Is in practice, obviously. So if it's wet and duff conditions, then I can understand that.
Absolutely, but that's our crash chart. We will put that up for you live on the website and also on our Facebook page and Twitter page. You can have a look at it yourself.
Indeed, yes. So they're a little treat for the visual radio listeners there, and they are listeners. And I mean, yes, I won't go into
of all thousands of you that are listeners, and we really mean that. There are thousands of people tuning in, over 30,000 again last week. So
yes,
there was more people tuned in to us than what there was across the 3 days at World Superbikes Donington Park. But talking of Donington Park, British circuit and the British Championships. We touched on a little bit of news before we came and done the interviews with Julian Rider, but we said about the Supersport 300, but we didn't say that the Ducati Tri-Option Championship calendar has been announced. It will start at Donington Park alongside the British Superbikes on the 31st to the 2nd of April, 31st of March, 2nd of April, and it will finish at the Assen round of the British Championships, which is the penultimate round of this season. We said earlier about Everquip, they're expanded to 2 bikes. I would imagine that Bjorn Esman would be one of their riders, although that's not been confirmed. That will all hopefully be done at the NEC. But their second rider, I haven't a clue on. So we'll have to wait for that one. Luke Hedger has been rumoured to be on a Suzuki 1000 bike in the stock class, which is brilliant. More Suzukis, more involvement in that championship. There's a massive possibility that Tommy Bridewell will be moving to the Riders Motorcycles BMW team. Apparently they're just waiting on a sponsor or two there and the backing to get in. But I know Tommy is allegedly very, very confident going into 2018 if he can get that ride. So that's brilliant for that team. But there's also strong rumours about him going to Martin Housel's team if they were to step back up to the Superbike class, of which there has been no confirmation yet at all. That's why I'm saying just a rumour as it is now. I must plug for someone called Vanessa Bell. There is a Shane Byrne Sports Personality of the Year petition going on. And
is this the petition?
It is a petition, yes.
Yeah, okay. I know.
But Shane Byrne, I think there's about 400 votes at the moment going on, and it's all in aid of trying to get Shane Byrne to the
Sports.
to the Sports Personality of the Year. Not necessarily to win it, maybe, but to at least get his name there. So there's a massive campaign. Just type it in on Google. Shane Byrne Sports Personality of the Year petition 2017. It's on the MCE Insurance Facebook group that I admin. So go and check it out on there. All 17,000 of you, which are on that. So yeah, a worthy cause. I think 6-time champion. Never had that before. Probably going to be the first rider to get to 100 wins. He may even get a 7th title if things work out next year. So brilliant from Shane Byrne. And I do believe maybe it's about time that...
Are you one of the conspiracy theorists who always think, oh, the BBC, they don't care about bikes anymore and stuff, and you never see BSB getting mentioned and stuff like that, and blah, blah, blah. Are you one of these people?
Well, yes and no. When the women's volleyball team starts getting more mentions than the British Superbike Championship, which obviously has more views, I start to get a little bit worried. But back onto the news, there's a very strong rumour going around that Build Base, the sponsor of Bradley Ray's team, or the Build Base Suzuki team last year, there's a strong rumour that they will be back in the championship as a sponsor for next season. We don't know what bike that is, apparently, but it could be with Billy McConnell, the ex-FS3 rider, although there's another rumour going around that Billy McConnell has signed a deal to stay with the Nigel Snook's team. We will find out at the NEC, of course, which we are there, Leicester. Yes. So that'll all be confirmed, but Bill Base as a sponsor apparently wanting to run a bike, and Billy McConnell apparently is their chosen rider. Kyle Ryder is rumoured to be going up to the British Superbike class with a brand new team. I don't know what team. I do not know what team that is, unfortunately. We shall ask him at the NEC, because I believe that the full announcement is being made there. So it may be a team within the paddock. That's all I can say. So
I'd imagine it would be, yes.
The other news, not so much British Superbike news, but Vauxhall have signed a new deal to sponsor the Northwest 200, which is brilliant news for them. The Northwest 200, people say it's a warm-up to the TT. The Northwest 200 over the last few years, since Vauxhall's involvement, has been an event on its own. It's becoming that way. Thousands of people flock to it every single year, and they are never disappointed with the racing. And in fact, we mentioned a review of the Northwest 200 2017 hadn't come out. It has. Go on to the Duke Video website online. You can pre-order it. I don't think it's been released yet. It doesn't get released till December, but you can order it. And that is a review, I can tell you, that you will want to watch. It has got, in my mind and Glenn Irwin's mind, as we spoke to him on the show about it, probably the most amazing last lap of a Northwest 200 race ever. Really, really good, top quality stuff between the young road racing upstart of Glenn Irwin and the old warrior Alistair Seeley, two of Ulster's finest road racers. So that is definitely a great stocking filler for Christmas. And if you're good, Santa may well bring it. There's another rumour going around that Guy Martin may be starting his own team.
Hey up.
But that, like I say, I'll leave that to the last moment, because I'm not so sure how confident I am in believing that.
Talking about Glenn Irwin, he is in action this weekend, as you would have known if you follow Glenn Irwin or listened to our interview of him, with him, about him. And he is at Macau this weekend doing the old Macau Grand Prix.
He is, and the first provisional qualifying session looks very, very good for Glenn Irwin on his second appearance there for the team. I believe for the visual radio viewers, again, we have a lovely chart here. This is the provisional qualifying. Glenn Irwin is on top.
Pole position.
Second place is Michael Rutter, and third place, Peter Hickman, looking to make it a hat-trick of victories. Fourth is Connor Cummins. Fifth is Martin Jessup. Derek Shields is sixth. Horst Sager is seventh. David Johnson, 8th, Gary Johnson, 9th, and Danny Webb, the ex-Grand Prix star, going to the Macau Grand Prix on the Pens 13 BMW team's bike. He completes the top 10. That is definitely one to watch. There is a link if you go to the Macau GP bike.
I think what we'll do is we'll put that live stream link on the Motorsport Radio website, and you can watch it on motorsport.radio.
You can.
Fantastic.
Exactly. You can stream it on there. You can watch it. It's by no means is it a disappointing race. Probably, excuse me, as I just die. Probably one of the best road races of the season. What a way to end the motorcycle racing year. Really, it's the end. It's the last massive event on the, as far as racing is concerned, on the calendar.
Yeah, indeed, and best of luck to Glenn and to all the other British and Irish riders racing this weekend at Macau. I'll certainly be watching it, probably not live, or I might do. I might stick around for the F3. No, we won't, because we will actually be in Birmingham, Kiko, because we'll be getting ready to do lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff at the NEC, because it is the Motorcycle Live. Tony Shorthouse has been in touch. Hello. He says, what days are we going to be at the NEC? Can we listen on your website or the event app? Well, Tony, we're not involved in the official radio side of things. We, just like you and everybody else, are going just as a very passionate and enthusiastic fans, albeit we will be taking our microphone and camera with us to grab a few interviews with some VIPs, Tony. So if you're knocking about and you come and see us, then we'll...
Stay away from me, because I'll just bring you bad luck.
Yeah, he literally will... as evidenced by this show going off air, when Kiko wished it well and said it was the best planned thing ever.
Well, it was on my side.
Yeah, well, anyway. But yeah, no, we will be there on the this Saturday and Sunday and Monday as well. And provisionally those 3 dates, pending any other dates as well. But they're not confirmed.
Yeah, I think, did we mention Saturday? The following Saturday as well? I think we did.
Perhaps.
Penciled in.
Are we mentioning it now? Okay.
Yeah, we are. We'll be there on the Saturday, the 25th, I believe it is. Okay. So, yeah, get yourselves down. Autograph signing sessions are available for a small fee. And, yeah. Just,
you're all right. I won't bother.
Feel free. Anyway, there's some MotoGP news, just to really
even more news. Go on.
Just to bang out really, really quickly, KTM have made no secret, according to the German website Speedweek, or Speedweek, as it might be said in Germany, that they want Johan Zarco on their factory KTM bikes for 2019. They want to keep Pol Espargaro. No mention of where Bradley Smith is fitting in. They want to also run a satellite team, which is massive. It's what Julian Rider said earlier. You've got to get 6 big manufacturers, 6 satellite teams at least. KTM want that. KTM have said that they would really like Miguel Oliveira and especially Brad Binder to be up there in the championship in 2019, which is just a season away. We say a season, the seasons have flown past this season. So unbelievable stuff really there, because they've come of form so well. Miguel Oliveira, 3 wins from the last 3 races in Moto2. No Marc Marquez. There was a rumour going around there about Marc Marquez maybe going to KTM, but that is counterproductive to their programme, bringing young riders through and developing them into absolute top-class Grand Prix riders. Some news broke in the midweek. Livio Supo has left Honda. He is not going to be replaced immediately, but he is pursuing new challenges. That was the reason for his departure. Onto the testing side of things. Alex Marquez will have a test on a Marc VDS Honda at the Jerez test. That's coming up soon. And Nicolas Goubert has left Michelin to become executive director of the Electric Motorcycle Championship, which Dorna are very keen on introducing in the coming years. He starts his position in February 2018. Moto2 news. It's not massive news, really. Joan Mir, Hector Barber, Romano Fenati, Federico Fellini, Jules Denio, and Bo Benschneider will all make an appearance in Moto2 for the first time next season. Eric Granado, Sam Lowes, Danny Kent, Stephen Odendahl, they will all return to a championship they've been in before. Moto3, Raymond Macia, Denis Rogier, Alonso Lopez, Marco Yachenko all go up to Moto3. Livio Loy goes to a new team in Moto3, the Avinti team, expanding their operations from just MotoGP. The Avinti team actually has an outfit run in the CEV Moto3 class, so it's a logical step to move up. There is a little bit more news we will get onto. Circuits for MotoGP. Rumour in local media in Portugal that Portimao will be going on the calendar. That was reported in the MCN news website.
It's for MotoGP.
This is for MotoGP. Portimao's rumoured to go there. 42,000 people attended the World Superbike event there. I think MotoGP would attract a massive crowd. That has competition though. Finland is almost certainly coming on. It was confirmed as coming on next season at the Kimi Ring. Next season, I talk 2019 now. Indonesia, massive push to get Indonesia on the calendar. And with Makar Yurchenko, the young Kazakhstani rider, stepping up to the World Championship, the first ever Kazakhstani. Kazakhstan, they're building the circuit in Sokol. That is not dead quite yet.
It'll never happen.
We'll see. The reason the manufacturers will want Indonesia over probably anywhere else, there's a lot of PR events, not just in Indonesia. Honda did theirs at the Central Circuit in Indonesia, but Yamaha did theirs in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam and Manila, the capital of the Philippines. So massive push in that Far East, Southeast Asian market.
We have a lot of listeners in Indonesia and the Philippines as well.
Oh, we do. I don't know why, but
probably because I share it on the MotoGP Facebook group.
Someone's spammed the Andrea Iannone unofficial Indonesia fan club. Runs out of Jakarta. The Valencia test, just to wrap up this show. KTM, their best time throughout the 2016 weekend was a 1 minute 32.092. Their best time at the end of testing was a 1:31.1. They are over a second quicker than what they were this same time last year. Incredible, astonishing progress for the manufacturer, which really goes to show the credit of, Dorna have made MotoGP into a really competitive championship. It's not about Honda or Yamaha anymore. Okay, we haven't had a Ducati championship since 2007, as I said earlier, but it gives the manufacturers the chance to compete, and I truly believe next year KTM and Aprilia will be on the podium. Talking of Aprilia, they've knocked 2.1 seconds off since they first came back to MotoGP in the 2014 Valencia test. By that I mean at the end of the 2014 season. They set a lap time of 1 minute 32.8. The 2018 Valencia test saw them end with a 1 minute 30.756. So, like I say, 2.1 seconds quicker than when they came back to the championship, which is, again, massive progress. Maybe not as nice as we would have thought because they've been in there a whole 2 seasons longer than KTM. But nonetheless, very promising.
Yeah, but
and very encouraging for new manufacturers.
How reflective is that, really, considering that every other bike is expected to also increase performance and lower lap times?
You say that. Yamaha, Maverick Vinales in the Valencia test 1 minute 29.975. No Yamaha got near 1 minute 29s throughout 2017 at Valencia. So,
plus we don't always know exactly what programs they might be running. They might be doing a totally different thing to what someone else.
But either way, 2.1 seconds is 2.1 seconds, and to knock that off your lap time, that's impressive in a short space of time. And Aprilia, don't forget, came back as a manufacturer a little bit soon. They weren't planning on coming back in 2015. Had a mildly successful year, I'd say, and they've proven that they've developed their bike, got the right people working on their bike. Very promising, and like I say, very encouraging for other manufacturers. Maybe Kawasaki, BMW, Bimota. And who else even knows? Maybe a return from EBR.
What do you make of the comment that Casey Stoner made apparently last week that if he'd have stayed on, he would have been and would have beat? I think it was roughly paraphrasing what he said. He would have beat Marquez.
Interesting one. That.
Do you think maybe he should just shut up? Because he walked away. There's no point thinking, well, yeah, I'm better than all these guys. I don't have to prove it, but I am. I mean, it's like me saying I'd be better than Marquez. Yeah. Until you actually do it.
I honestly would be better than Marc Marquez if I was about 79,000 kilos lighter and also talented on a motorcycle, which I'm not. It's very hard to compare. 2 different eras, Casey Stoner and Marc Marquez, both incredible talents in their own rights. It's a difficult one. They never raced together, so it's very difficult to actually measure how.
Yeah, but how fair they could have, though.
They could have. I still think Marquez would beat Casey Stoner.
Well, as ever, let us know what you think. If you disagree with that, or agree with Stoner, perhaps. Do you think he was always destined to beat Marquez? Should he have not walked away, perhaps? And was he wrong to walk? Anyway, that's a whole different... I should stop asking questions. But we still have one unanswered question as well, which I will bring you the answer to as well. Because at the start of the show, this show, we've sort of done two versions of this. Don't ask. But anyway, tonight's big question on the show was Lorenzo right to ignore team orders at the final round in MotoGP? Was Lorenzo correct in that he didn't give way? He ignored team orders. Now, we've been asking on the motorsport.radio website this very question. Thank you to everybody who's been on the brand new website. And to well over 120-odd people. Not bad, to be honest. It's not... I've seen worse Twitter polls, to be honest. But still, yes, that's... I've seen... Yeah, you can still get a representative figure from this. You will be shocked at the result of the question. Maybe, I don't know, it confused some people. Judging from a lot of the comments that came in, most of which we can't actually read out, but of the ones that we can, Andy Kelly from Kiko's MC Insurance, unofficial MC Insurance British Superbike Facebook group says no. If it was the other way around, he would be crying now. Brian Hughes, chipped in and agreed by saying no man is bigger than the team. He was well out of order. Other people chipped in with their comments. Richard Barton said, "I'd have black flagged him." Bit extreme. What was he trying to prove or gain, he says. And Ashley Ward has been on and said there shouldn't be no such thing as team orders. If these are the best bike races in the world, surely each of them should be capable of winning a title without help. Rob Cheetham agrees with him. And so many comments, including a couple of meme pictures of Marquez and Lorenzo naked on a couch for some reason. Don't know why someone would bother doing that, but whatever. It's 2017 and all that. Yeah, anyway, so the result of the poll, and you will be shocked, is that 58% of all of the people who voted said yes, he was right to ignore team orders.
Wow.
That shocks me, because I would have genuinely thought that maybe people, maybe they didn't understand the question, maybe they was clicking a bit too hard on the website, I don't know. But most people, 58%, I think if it's any less than that, we get into sort of a grey Brexit sort of debate area about, well,
no, because the majority is 50% plus one, so...
Yeah, but you know, if it's but anyway, 58% of people said that old George Lorenzo was right. Dear. He was right to ignore team orders, potentially jeopardising his teammates' championship.
But I understand where they're coming from with that, because Andrea Dovizioso, had he had good pace anyway, would have got past Jorge Lorenzo. You know, Jorge Lorenzo was wrong not to give Andrea Dovizioso the opportunity to pursue the top three. But Dovizioso, had he had that much superior pace, had he been able to get to the front, he may have made up a little bit, but I genuinely do not believe that Jorge Lorenzo done anything massively wrong. But, you know, disobeying team orders, that I think that is disobeying. It's not the fact that the circumstances of what he was supposed to do. It's the attitude he took, and he didn't adhere to him. And
he's like the last person to know what. I mean, he doesn't see the big picture. He's just riding, doing his own little race on his own bike. He doesn't see what everybody else is doing. He doesn't. He would not know, for example, if Marquez had have crashed and gone off, he would probably not have known that.
Yeah, but he would have known the situation before he went on circuit. He can see that Andrea Dovizioso is not ahead of him, so therefore Andrea Dovizioso can't be champion and Ducati can't be Ryder's champion.
But he might not have known from his position that maybe the rest of the top, whatever it was, 4 or 5 riders might have also flew off the track. Didn't happen, but the fact is he didn't know. Anything could have happened.
All we can say is, statistically, Jorge Lorenzo actually did move out of the way. He tucked the front of turn 5 and down he went. So he did move out of the way eventually.
They both did.
Unfortunately, 2 corners later, Victor. So literally, I think he was purposely following Jorge Lorenzo, because a couple of corners later he went and replicated.
Do you think he just thought, fuck it, I'll give up. It's not happening, and then just went for a cup of tea?
No, I just don't think. It's a bit like Valentino Rossi in 2015. The pace Dovizioso had was for 4th or 5th at best.
Award as well for the best PR job for covering up a very potentially explosive situation goes to the team itself.
Because to say that it was suggested and not implemented, well, very well done. They honestly deserve an award for that.
Yeah,
so.
It's and now I think the narrative is that maybe the team didn't quite understand the situation, i.e. it's not their kind of fault, but we all know what happened, don't we, folks? And 82% so far. 58%. Sorry, what am I talking about? 58% of people agreed with Lorenzo.
Well, that's a poll that we will put out as a result, and you can let us know in the comments what you really thought. Do you agree with the result?
A lot of people already have been doing it.
We'll have a second referendum on it, shall we? That's what all minorities want these days. So,
okay. So, moving on to the end of the show, and thank you very much for everyone who's been talk about Brexit. I mentioned it once, but I think I got away with it.
24 minutes till question time.
Thank you very much to everyone who has been in touch and told us about certain issues that we had at the start of the show.
Yeah, thank you, Chandler, Warren Gray, and Keith Ewan gave me a quick message as well. Thank you for that, because I don't want to sound like a Dalek or not.
Anyway, we fixed it.
We did.
Yes. And thank you very much to Moto Rapido Ducati's Iain Hopcroft, and also to Chandler Warren Gray, the brand manager for Moto Rapido Ducati as well, and to Julian Ryder as well for making his Motorsport Radio debut. And maybe we can get his partner in crime on the show at some point.
No, you want to stay away from that Keith Ewan. I know he's listed, so
well, come on the show. We'll
get him. I would have loved to have Keith and Jules on.
We might make it happen. I think we can do this.
We'll
Skype, guys, and we'll have you both on for a Christmas special or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's not a bad idea.
There you go. And thank you as well to you if you tuned in live and stuck with us throughout tonight's show. Thank you and well done. You've been fantastic. We'll be at the Motorcycle Live Show in the NEC in Birmingham this weekend with our branded shirts and branded microphones. So if you see us wandering about looking a bit gormless, come and say hello and point us in the right direction to some riders or some cool stuff. Thank you, and really, that's it. We've all had a fantastic evening, and I wonder where Philip Backlund as well is going to be. We've not heard his name, but I get the feeling that he's maybe sniffing around for a ride.
I think he's there, here.
I think he. But yeah, thank you to everyone who's been in touch with the show.
And we'll see you at the weekend.
Yes, we'll see you at the weekend, and for a special Motorcycle Live next Thursday.
Hey guys, it's Philip Backlund. You are watching Motorsport Radio.
Motorsport Radio. The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.